of PELUMI ADEOSUN, the sports umpire, getting ready to take you across the length and breadth of events making the rounds in the sporting empire. Well, on Mondays like this, we get to do a review of all of the sporting actions that went down over the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, on the show this morning, we'll get to talk about the third tier of Nigerian football, Nationwide League 1, the NLO, as we had the playoff games played over the weekend, talking about the IBADAN Center. Also on the show this morning, we'll get to discuss the second tier of Nigerian football, the NNL. They call it the Nigeria's most important league. Also, the NCAA Championship, we're talking about the National Collegiate Athletics Association Championship. It gets our attention on the show this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we also discuss the world of UFC. Kamaru Usman getting his first win since 2021. Yes, he did that over the weekend in the welterweight category. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll also touch on the world of basketball. The Basketball Africa League 2025 final went down yesterday in Pretoria, South Africa. We'll also discuss the world of Formula 1. It was all about George Russell being the fastest driver at the Canadian Grand Prix yesterday. Also in the news this morning, FIFA Club World Cup games. The opening games already started over the weekend. 5 games played. Fantastic and interesting results across that particular one. Of course, the world of transfers would also be a talking point on the show this morning. The 2025 summer transfer window is officially open. And of course, clubs are back in the market to get the signature of players. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Sports Drive on I-FLIER 103.3 FM. Okay, on the show this morning, starting from the NLO, charity they says begins at home. Ladies and gentlemen, Stormers FC have officially earned promotion to the NNL after a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Real Sapphire in their final playoff game that was played earlier yesterday, with 2 wins from 3 playoff matches and a +1 goal difference. Stormers FC garnered 6 points, which was enough to see them through a challenging campaign and secure a well-deserved spot in the NNL. It means that the Ogumbe side will now pride their trade in the NNL for the upcoming season. Well, that was how it went down in the IBADAN Center. Yes, the games were played in Ibadan. Of course, one of those games was played at the Lake Salami Sports Complex in Adamasingba, while the second game was played at the Olubadan Stadium right there. Well, looking at the result of those games played, Joy Comets played out a goalless draw against FC Ibade in the game that happened at the Lake Salami Sports Complex, while Stormers FC defeated Real Sapphire by 2-1 in the game that happened at the Olubadan Stadium. Well, by virtue of that result, Stormers FC topped that particular that is owned by the DG of the NSC, talking about the National League for next season. Well, speaking of the Nigerian National League on the show this morning, ladies and gentlemen, let me inform you that the 8 teams that will jostle for the 4 spots in the NPFL have already been confirmed as Osun United secure their place in the 2025 Nigerian National League Super 8 playoffs. The Omoluabi Giants, or you can call them the Mole Gladiators, defeated First Bank 3-1 in their final regular season match at the Lareleke Sports Complex in Iliogbo on Saturday. Well, Osun United finished as runners-up in Group B with 36 points from 20 games, booking their spots alongside group leaders Akunka Lefat FC. Other teams that have secured their places in the playoffs, we've got the likes of Wiki Tourist, Doma United, UB Desert Stars, Barao FC, all from the Northern Conference, while from the Southern Conference, we've got Warri Wolves, and of course, Crown FC of Ogbomosho, the Agility Warriors, which will be joined by Osun United and Kunka Lefat. Well, all of these 8 teams will jostle for the promotion spot to the Nigerian Premier Football League. A date has not been fixed yet for that one, talking about the Super 8 playoffs, but we'll find out in the coming days. Once again, big congratulations to Osun United for securing playoff spot right there. Moving with the speed of light on the show this morning, guys. Let's go straight to talk about the NCAA championship that happened over the weekend. Let us check on how Nigerian athletes performed in that particular competition. Well, just in case you are wondering what the NCAA championship is, like I said earlier, it is the National Collegiate Athletics Association Games. It is an outdoor track and field championship right there, more like a university competition. Well, should I say most of these Nigerian athletes, they are still schooling abroad, and most of them do get to represent their universities, they do get to represent their colleges in competitions like this. Over the weekend, it was quite an eventful one for the Nigerian contingent in that particular one. Let's check on how some of these particular athletes fared in that one. Ladies and gentlemen, let us start from the camp of Koinsola Ajayi, who finished 4th in the men's 100 meters final at the NCAA championship. Well, in what was a closely contested race, Koinsola Ajayi ran 10.13 seconds with his teammate Sunday Israel Okon finishing 7th in 10.18 seconds. However, Jordan Anthony came away with the win in 10.07 seconds in that one. Well, for Koinsola Ajayi and Israel Okon, they were representing the Auburn Tigers in that one from the Auburn University. Also, moving away from that one, ladies and gentlemen, Samuel Ogaze won the NCAA men's 400 meter titles. Of course, he ran a time of 44.84 seconds to win, of course, clear of the rest of the field, as Gabriel Morota was in second with 45.47 seconds, and William Jones finished in third in 45.53 seconds. Well, Samuel Ogaze became the first man from Alabama to win the title since the great Kirani James. He's also only the second Nigerian man ever to win the NCAA outdoor 400 meter title after Clement Chuko in 1999. Well, Samuel Ogaze destroyed the field, becoming the first athlete in 26 years to win a 400 meter NCAA title. Big ups to this particular man. Don't forget that he got to the final of the men's 400 meters at the last Olympic Games, and he has now won himself his first NCAA title. Once again, congratulations to Samuel Ogaze. Also in the competition, ladies and gentlemen, Ezekiel Nathaniel of Nigeria once again proved to us why he is on another level. He destroyed the men's 400 meter hurdles revealed at the NCAA championship, clocking a big personal best of 47.49 seconds. And he also smashed his own Nigerian record for the 4th time this year. Jaguar Clon Scott was second in 48.29 seconds, while Cody Blackwood ran 48.66 seconds to finish third in that one. But it was all about Ezekiel Nathaniel giving a national record in that one and giving an NCAA lead 47.49 seconds for the Nigerian. Also, still talking about the NCAA championship, ladies and gentlemen, let me inform you that Rosemary Chukwuma clocked the season best of 11.03 seconds to win a 100-meter section at the Star Athletics Sprint Series in Florida. And with that time, she hit the qualification for the Tokyo 2025 World Championship, and she became the 3rd Nigerian to achieve that one after Favor Ofili and Tima. God bless. Big up to Rosemary Chukwuma as well. Well, Nigerian athletes are doing fantastically well for themselves. Hopefully, they can bring all of this performance when they come and represent Nigeria at the bigger stage in bigger competitions. Well, all of this is to prepare for the next Olympic Games, talking about LA 2026. Don't forget that in the last Olympic Games, Nigeria failed to win a single medal from the start to the end of that competition, and it was an abysmal performance from the Nigerians right there. Hopefully they can get all of those behind them and turn out well in the next outing. Finally, before we leave the NCAA championship, Ella Onojuevo was so close to picking up a medal in the women's 400 meters final at the NCAA championship. She was closing hard on Rosie F. Young of the United States right there in Pretoria, South Africa, where Al Ali of Libya secured their first ever Basketball Africa League title after defeating Petro de Luanda of Angola 88-67 in a dominant performance during Saturday's final in Pretoria. territorial. While the defending champions, Petro de Luanda, kept the game competitive at times, it was all about Al-Ahli Tripoli of Libya, who controlled the contest from start to finish. And of course, they celebrated a well-deserved triumph in front of a passionate crowd. With that win, Al-Ahli have secured their spot in the FIBA Intercontinental Cup in Singapore. And there was additional recognition for their coach, Abu Chakra Fuad, who was named the coach of the year for his impressive guidance right there. So the Basketball Africa League has come to an end. Don't forget that Rivers Upas, who represented Nigeria, they could not really do too well as they crashed out in the quarterfinals after losing to APR or for Rwanda in that one. But big ups, big congratulations to Al-Ahli Tripoli of Libya, champions of the Basketball Africa League 2025, and will represent Africa at the World Championship in Singapore. Okay, let's move away from that one. Let's quickly go straight to the world of Formula 1. Before we talk about UFC, before we talk about Kamaru Usman, ladies and gentlemen, it was all about George Russell, who secured Mercedes' first win of the season in the Canadian Grand Prix on Sunday as the McLaren's championship chasing drivers, talking about Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, crashed in the final laps of an intriguing and hectic race. Where the 27-year-old Briton beat close rival and four-time world champion Max Verstappen of the Red Bull by 0.228 seconds under the safety car to claim his fourth career way to main event of a fight night that was held at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia in the early hours of Sunday. Well, Usman took a victory on an unanimous decision 49-46, 49-46 and 48-47. That is what the three judges scored it so far after 5 rounds in which his wrestling came to the fore, and of course they laid the foundation for success for Kamaru Usman. Ladies and gentlemen, Kamaru Usman dominated that one, of course, before 2021, but then he went through a series of 4 straight defeats, but right now looks like the boogeyman is back. Well, let us go get a feel of how it went down at that particular one in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's take a look, let's take a listen to the moment.
I don't want to get into your personal life, but is part of that emotion coming from the relief that you were able to pull off a performance like this and remind people just how great you are at this sport? Damn it.
It's hard. I mean, it's been a while since not just with getting back in here, but obviously getting in the win column. I battled a lot of things just to get here. Just repairing my body, just physically, personally, a lot of things that I had to just kind of, I guess, expression would be fight a lot of demons just to get back in here. But
again, to inform you that you can get to watch us live on Facebook on I-FLIER 103.3 FM live. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go straight into the world of football. Yes, let's talk about the land of the Azuris, as Italy have appointed former manager Gennaro Gattuso as their manager. The AC Milan legend would replace Luciano Spalletti, who announced his own sacking at a news conference last week. Gattuso, who is 47, made 73 appearances in Italy, and of course, he was a member of their 2006 World Cup winning squad, and will now lead the country into the same tournament 20 years later. Well, Italy won Euros 2020, but they failed to qualify for last summer's tournament and have also not made it to the past 2 World Cup. For Gennaro Gattuso, a whole lot of work on his hands right there. But then we'll wait to see how his reign in charge of the Italian national team would pan out. Gennaro Gattuso recently left his position as the head coach of Croatian club Hajduk Split by mutual consent after 1 season, but now he is the manager of the Azuris of Italy, the Italian national team. Well, I cannot be the only one surprised by that particular decision. Maybe Gennaro Gattuso, a wonderful footballer, but then in terms of his managerial abilities, that one is still definitely questionable. But like I said, we'll wait to see how his reign in charge of the Azuris of Italy would pan out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we go talk about the world of transfers, let's quickly check on the FIFA World Club Cup games that happened over the weekend. Like I told you, 5 games already done and dusted in the Club World Cup. Of course, the opening game saw Al-Ahly of Egypt play out a goalless draw against Inter Miami of America. It was an exciting goalless draw in that one as the African Giants had to battle Lionel Messi and his teammates in that one, with the goalkeeper of Inter Miami who started winning the man of the match. Of course, he saved the penalty from Trezeguet in that one. It was an entertaining 0-0 draw in the opening game of the FIFA Club World Cup. And of course, we also saw Bayern Munich wallop Auckland City 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 goals to nothing. That one ended in favor of the Bavarians. Well, Bayern Munich walloped them in that one. Well, Auckland City, you will call them part-time footballers. Well, you cannot consider these ones as footballers. How do you lose 10-0 in a FIFA-recognized competition right there? Well, it was all about Bayern Munich in that one. Maybe a surprising result, but what's more surprising in that one was Harry Kane not getting on the scorer sheet or providing any assist out of all of the 10 goals in that one. Well, Jamal Musiala, despite coming off the bench, got an hat-trick. Michael Olise got a brace as well, with Thomas Muller also getting on the scorer sheet, got in a brace for Bayern Munich in that particular game. Kingsley Coman also getting a brace, while Boy was also on the scorer sheet for Bayern Munich in their first game in the FIFA World Club Cup. 10 goals to nothing, it went in favor of Bayern Munich. In another game that was played yesterday night, 8 p.m. Nigerian time, Paris Saint-Germain defeated Atletico Madrid by 4 goals to nothing. Well, proving to us for the umpteenth time where they deserve to be European champions. Paris Saint-Germain, the Luis Enrique guys, walloped Atletico Madrid by 4. Made a permanent deal. Yes, his move has not been made permanent by Tottenham Hotspur. Also in the